Hey y'all, so I just wanted to make this video to spend some time talking about one of my favorite teams in this game, which is the full Fantastic Four, and specifically about how awesome Mr. Fantastic is in that team. Now I start with this fight, which is not particularly innovative. Everyone knows about Mr. Fantastic's pre-fights and how amazing they are, um, but I do think that Petrify tends to get a bit too much press. You know, it turns off Doom's aura, it counters Mystic Dispersion, there are a lot of war nodes where it's incredibly helpful, but in a lot of matchups like this one, I think that suppression is actually more important. I mean, we all know how much that limbo hurt. The attack values in this variant are truly ridiculous. But, thanks to suppression, she only ever got to 1 bar of power. So for this next fight here, I want to show just how easy it is to get Mr. Fantastic's pre-fights back if you know how to use him. Now, when you're fighting with Reed, right now I only have 1 charge, but in my opinion there is almost never a reason to not use every pre-fight debuff you can. And the reason for that is that he gains extra attack per debuff on the opponent, and when he has the full Fantastic Four synergy, he does passive damage every second based on how many unique debuffs they have. Which means that if you use all 3 pre-fights, you're doing significantly more damage. That would be more like 500 a tick right now if we had more than just the Petrify. So I actually shouldn't have pushed him to his first special 2, because one of the most important things with Reed in terms of getting control of the fight is getting that first Careful Study passive, which means you want them to throw 3 of the same special in a row. And in my experience, it's almost always going to be the special 1, because even if they have a ton of power gain and you push them to the special 2 perfectly twice in a row, if they throw a special 1, you've lost all your work. So I think it's better to get the special 1 passive up and then get the special 2 if you can. Now you notice I've been using my own special 2 to stack the Petrifies here. Because the stagger stays up, I was actually hoping he would end up getting another armor buff before he gets his regen. It cancels the regen instantly, but given how many debuffs are on him, if it hadn't canceled it, it certainly would have reversed it. Anyway, we end this fight with more than 5 debuffs on the opponent, so we are back up to full for the next fight. Now I'm cutting over to another path here because this crit me with your best shot lane has proven pretty annoying to a lot of people. And one thing I want to show is how much Reed can lock down a fight like Doctor Strange here, which a lot of people know because, as I said, Petrify is pretty famous. But the other thing is that I don't think everyone realizes that with this critical setup node, once you've ended in a medium, you can actually just do mediums, and that counts. See, there we go. There's a guaranteed crit, even though that was only a 2-hit combo. I'm focused more on making sure I keep the debuffs up, both because I want those charges back, and because it keeps my damage up. But we can also just use the 2-hit combos to guarantee our crits. Now if we get lucky on a special attack, that's always nice, but this fight would be perfectly under control even without that. Now that we have 2 Petrifies up, I mean, clearly he has a bar of power, but you have to worry a lot less about what Doctor Strange loves to do, which is to just turtle until he has that special 2, which is obviously a lot harder to get around. Now there I threw the special 1 instead of the special 2 because I just wanted to get more debuffs up, and the special 1 is better for unique debuffs and therefore for more passive damage. And there we have another thing that I really enjoy about Reed, although you don't want to rely on it, which is his very high evade chance when you have a bunch of debuffs up. I actually came in early countering that heavy from Doctor Strange, but I evaded it anyway. And that, like I said, you don't want to rely on it, but it will absolutely save you. It's kind of like crit resistance. You never want to get hit when you're using Doctor Doom, but when you eventually do, it's really nice to have that. So now I want to show a fight where I actually have access to all of the debuffs from the pre-fights, and I can do the passive damage, because that was getting turned off by the crit me with your best shot node. I know this Venom's causing a lot of problems for people, and there are a lot of great answers. She-Hulk's really good. I've seen Duped Cosmic Ghost Rider do it well. However, I really like Reed here because he's already blunted the energized node down from 100% extra combat power rate to 75 just with his pre-fights. By baiting Venom's special ones, we have those passives up. Now we have extra offensive power gain. You'll notice that if you compare this to any fights that you may have done, he's not gaining as much power when I land those heavies as he would from other champs. So now we've used the L2, we've doubled the suppression, which means that we've brought the power rate back down to 150%, thus halving the effect of the node. And that leaves us a lot more leeway to hit into his block, heavy him to refresh these debuffs, and basically just mess with Venom without pushing him to that special 2. Now the first time I took this fight, I actually did push him to the special 2, and I did get the evade, and even if I hadn't gotten it, that debuff siphoner means that Reed is reducing how much bleed damage he does, and Reed has an extra chance to dodge unblockable attacks, which Venom's L2 is on this node, and he just has his evade chance in general. So it could have gone well, but I think a lot of you out there are like me where you just prefer not to mess with Venom's special 2. So in this one, I choose not to. Now I actually didn't record this fight the next time I took it because I thought that this one right here, where I finished it in 41 hits, I think? Yeah, basically 40. But I thought that this was about as good as it could go, especially because I brought in the She-Hulk synergy, which I hadn't really talked about yet, so that every time I inflict a debuff, and Reed has so many debuffs, I was inflicting a power sting as well. But I did actually take it another time and got it down in only 33 hits, which I think almost ties Vega's kill with Spider-Ham. So just a fun fact, I do think Reed is one of the most efficient ways to take it down. So here we have another fight where we can show off, among other things, the She-Hulk synergy, because being able to do damage to Dormammu without hitting him is always appreciated. The other thing we're showing off is just how incredibly fast Thing ramps when he's part of the full Fantastic Four. Notice he's gaining 10 rock stacks every parry instead of 20, or instead of 5, and that they're instantly being converted into Furies. The other thing that I'm doing here when possible is what I call the heavy whiff, which is I'm doing a heavy attack like right there, and then I immediately do a light attack. It doesn't always work, but notice he did throw his L1 there, and in my experience, it significantly increases the opponent's odds of throwing their special attacks when you do that. And yeah, anything that even can help when baiting somebody like Dormammu or Mojo, I'm a fan of. Obviously, we still had some trouble baiting him here, but I do think that that helps, and if you're just willing to be patient, he will come down. Now, I will say, as much as Thing, and probably Rolk as well, are the obvious answers to this, because they're extra large, you can play normally with them. Isn't that awesome? I actually found this fight more efficient just using exclusively heavies with Torch, which, you know, is part of why I'm not a huge fan of some of the paths in this variant, but I just wanted to show that this was possible. Not necessarily the most efficient option, but, you know, it works, and I just wanted to show how the Fantastic Four can take a wider spread of fights than they are often given credit for. And that's the idea behind this last one as well. Thing is not actually poison immune, but because he's immune to Nullify, he can still take Man-Thing fairly efficiently. And as long as we just keep doing those double medium combos that I mentioned in the Doctor Strange fight, this isn't that painful. She-Hulk would be faster, but for anyone out there who has Thing and doesn't have She-Hulk, then this is probably easier. Sorry if this is at all dizzying, but I just figured this video's been long enough, and this is not the most entertaining fight in the world, but there you have the option. I've got some more videos that I'm going to catch up on. I think there's some good stuff in there, but I hope you guys enjoyed this Fantastic Four showcase. Till next time.